Greenland 2, The Migration, and I feel for this one the same way I did for the first one. Hello there, namaste. So Greenland 2, The Migration, they're safe in a bunker. And my issue with this is like, if you're safe in a bunker, why would you try to go on to greener pastures? But I do like what they did. When the comet impacted the Earth, it ended up shifting the plates. So now there are earthquakes happening all over the place. And the bunker ends up falling apart. Spoilers for the first 5 minutes of the film. And they need to find their way to a safe haven. And it is believed that the comet, when it impacted, created this massive crater, massive mountain range around it, which the whole thing is basically Greenland. They're not traveling anywhere. Massive mountains around it that protect it from the radioactive storms. So they're on their way there. And I gotta say, I don't care for it. Again, I don't care for it because the son who grew up in a post-apocalyptic environment is a little too soft, and the mother's a little too overbearing than a mother should be for a son who grew up in this kind of life. The son acts like a typical teenager instead of being moved into the workforce as you would expect in a post-apocalyptic environment, where as soon as you're able to use tools, you're put to work. It's not like that. It's just like,
Hi. Can you like and subscribe to me? And not him?
and of course, every time they're going someplace, something bad happens. They're having to cross a massive crack in the earth. And then, of course, the whole thing's going to fall apart around them. They are having to travel through an empty desert, basically. And then it turns out that there's scavengers around. There's a bunch of all this stuff keeps happening. And it's like, of course, you have to build the suspense somehow. So, of course, everything's going to happen when they get there. And it's kind of annoying because it's like you see them crossing a bridge and it's like, oh, that thing's going to fall apart. Of course it's going to fall apart. And everywhere they go, they end up meeting people that will help them. And in my head, this is post-apocalyptic. I would have preferred it if it was like, you have to protect your family. They have that kind of moment at the end, but it's like, you're the husband. Gerard Butler should be killing people in order to protect his family, which he does here and there. But it's like every time someone's giving him a van, every time someone's giving him a ride, every single time. He never has to fight for it. He never has to do really anything for it. He's just like, oh, please, please. Like, no, you have to fight for it. You have to actively. But it's like every vehicle they're driving, it's given to them. Every time they're getting someplace, they're freely given a ride. There's no like forcing, there's no force. There's no trying to get his family to a safe haven. He's just asking people to assist him to get his family to a safe haven. And that's something that bothers me, especially when you're trying to make it about the father trying to take his family to a safe place, trying to be the protector, and you're not showing him protecting until the very end of the film. It was just like, come on, really? And I do want to say that one thing I do like is they're talking about the safe haven, but not everyone knows about the safe haven. But as they get closer to the safe haven, everyone knows about the safe haven. However, it's a war zone because they're trying to protect it. Because my wife was confused watching and she's like, "What? Why don't they just use it?" Well, because if you let too many people in, that whole thing is going to be destroyed. Yeah, people now have this barbaric mindset where they're taking for themselves. They don't care about anyone else. They'll take it for their own. So they're trying to prevent it from being overrun so the whole thing doesn't get destroyed. And I'm like, I like that idea. The problem is you have a bunch of soldiers who are dying on the front lines whose families are hopefully in the safe zone. But that's something I really wish there was more of. Some more barbaric humans. Gerard Butler having to be more of a barbarian himself in order to protect his family. Not handouts given everywhere. And not the earth falling apart around them. More like human savagery, I think, should have been the primary villain of this. Because, well, the people who are living in the world after the radiation, that they're all going to die in like 5 to 10 years. They would be more barbaric. They would be more trying to satisfy their desires more than anything else. He would have to constantly protect his family. That's something I think they should have leaned into instead of trying to be like, you know what? Everyone he meets, you might see a few people in the background who try to shoot him, but everyone he meets is actually a decent human being. And I'm gotta say, that's something I actually preferred in the first one, where you meet someone and you're like, you know something's gonna go wrong. You know something's gonna go wrong. And in this one, there's really nothing like that. Anyway, I watched the sequel. Again, I feel for it the same way I felt for the first one. At least the first one had some demented people that you gotta follow along and gotta be like, yes, people will turn into barbarians. In this one, everyone you meet is a good guy, and you just see the barbarians and savages from afar, and I don't really care for that. It's like, you need to become a barbarian to deal with the barbarians. Anyway, that's all I gotta say about my Greenland 2 migration. Yeah, thank y'all for watching. Talk to you next time. Doodles.
You guys got a video? Why is it so bad?
And don't forget to like and subscribe.
Why is it like that?